Icon of the Seas is the new carnival.
So for today's topic, we have an update on the Brawl, the fight that recently broke out over the past weekend on board the world's largest cruise ship, Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, that has undoubtedly absolutely gone viral all over the internet. It is the current topic of discussion for this Thanksgiving week, and well, we have an official report that's been put out by the Cruise Center outlining the further details of what took place on this fateful night, as well as the age demographics, things that will absolutely shock you. Make sure you stick around. You also have a lot of people arguing amongst themselves back and forth, debating on whether if this was just simply something that was blown out of proportion. It was just a fight amongst two people. It happens all the time, no big deal. Or if this was actually a massive brawl. I am, of course, going to debunk the fact that this is just a simple fight amongst two people, because there are some other things that we definitely got to talk about that you should all be aware of. We also, believe it or not, have people that are actually celebrating this event that took place because it didn't happen on a Carnival ship. Unfortunately, you know, Royal Caribbean Carnival are rivals. I think this is an L, a loss for everybody that does cruise, because it just simply is not a good look. And then finally, we have to go over another controversy of people arguing when it comes to the security on board all cruise ships, in particular this ship, Icon of the Seas, because this fight lasted a lot longer than a lot of people know about, and they are debating on whether the security guards on board were equipped and prepared to handle an event like this. So we are going to start out by watching bits and pieces of this altercation, more of the aftermath of what took place, because unfortunately here on YouTube, you can't post things like fights here. I did try in my initial video that I made about this conundrum that took place, but even while trimming out all of the physical altercations that took place, YouTube still demonetized and shadow banned the video, basically putting me in the corner. However, thankfully it did surprisingly still, for whatever reason, break through to over 100,000 people. Either way, let's go ahead and get to the video clip, and then we'll go over all of the interesting details after. Of course, as you're watching this video, if you feel like it's valuable in any way or even entertaining, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. That way you get notified whenever I post these videos.
Icon of the Seas is the new carnival.
So I do want to begin by quickly giving all of you an overview of Icon of the Seas for those of you out there that are not aware of what this ship is. Icon of the Seas is currently the world's largest cruise ship, at least until the launch of its sister ship, Star of the Seas, in 2025. It is capable of holding well over 10,000 passengers and crew at full capacity, and it's not even a year old. It just launched here in 2024 in late January, currently completing 7-night sailings out of Miami, Florida, going over to the Caribbean. For this unfortunate November cruise, it has been confirmed at the time of the altercation or conundrum that took place, the fight, that the ship was at full capacity, completely sold out. According to witnesses and onlookers, the fight started in an elevator as it was heading down to deck 6, which was where the Royal Promenade is located. The fight then quite literally bled out over into the Royal Promenade, only leaving some hair that was pulled out during the altercation in the elevator. Once on the Royal Promenade, other smaller fights and altercations began to take place. You had onlookers seeing what was going on. You had some people that were good Samaritans trying to break up the fight, at least until security came in, and they still had trouble, to the point to where the de-escalation and apprehension of those involved in the physical altercations, it would last a whopping 30 minutes until everything was calmed down and completely de-escalated. The report states that the fight took place during the final night of the cruise before it arrived back in its home port of Miami, and that everybody that was involved and apprehended were between the ages, get this, between 16 and 19 years old, which indicates that, one, they were not sailing alone. They were sailing with their family, and that means the family paid upwards of thousands upon thousands of dollars just to have their children or their relatives get into this altercation, and unfortunately, well, they are now going to face some type of punishment for their actions. Now, I don't think this is super important, but the amount of people that have commented on my video and other videos stating that there was not really even a fight, there was a lot of arguing and nothing happened. Again, on my video in particular, I did have to cut out all all of the physical parts. But to say that this wasn't a massive brawl, again, there was one initial fight, and then even in the video, you can see people trying to fight other people. In my personal opinion, unless it is just a straight up fight amongst two people, there are 4 people, 6 people involved, and people yelling and screaming and pushing. To me, to a degree, that constitutes as a massive brawl, but that's just my personal opinion on the matter. I do also believe it's important to look at the why all of this took place. As I mentioned in my previous video, I do believe that there is a good chance, while we don't have the official reasoning and cause as to why this fight took place, actually in the report, it is more than likely that somebody was disrespected or insulted to some degree to the point to where they felt that they had to get physical. Now, I am going to look at both sides of this because I do believe it is important. The first side, I think, is pretty obvious. There is no reason for you to fight when you're on vacation, especially on Icon of the Seas. It is a massive cruise ship. If you feel that somebody is irritating you or disrespecting you or being rude in any way, you could literally walk away. And if it's bad enough, go find security to handle the matter so you and your family don't have to deal with repercussions of your impulsive actions. Number 2, when it comes to people that are rude on a cruise ship, you guys know I cruise a lot. I don't talk about it a lot here on this channel. I don't typically deal with altercations, but as somebody that often does cruise solo, there are people that recognize me and that causes drama. There are people that don't recognize me and it causes drama. I'm not gonna make this about me, but I do believe personal experience, just to kind of bring the point home, is very important. When I'm solo traveling, there are people that will literally, I don't know why they get so bold, maybe it's a drink package. They will tell me that I'm being a bad boyfriend, a bad husband because my wife is not with me on the cruise. And I have to explain to them that this is not only something I'm doing for fun, it's also business. And then you got a lot of people, when I'm just traveling alone, they don't know who I am and they see me being social with literally everybody. I am then accused of being some type of deviant, a man that's only looking to bed wrestle because I'm only hanging around cool and social and talkative, beautiful people. That's really not my intention at all. I'm a social person and I talk to, I kid you not, you guys have seen me on a cruise, hundreds if not 1,000 plus people every cruise that I go on. But I do believe it is out of place when people do come up to me and say these things because it's none of their business. And that's another thing that people don't do. Be respectful and mind your business on a cruise. I apologize. I know that was a borderline rant, but it does blow my mind that there are people out there that can't fathom the idea that somebody would travel solo and then proceed to be social. I do believe it is important. You guys know I do transparent, honest reviews of my experiences on board. And if I'm just hanging by myself and not able to indulge in the experiences and talking to people, because I do believe that is part of the overall cruise experience, everybody's very social on board, how can I then honestly come back and give all of you a full-on review? Now, I do quickly want to address the Carnival versus Royal Caribbean situation, because believe it or not, there are people out there that cruise Carnival that, again, are rejoicing and celebrating at the fact that there was a fight on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship and not a Carnival ship. In my personal opinion, I do believe that is very childish. I know we joke about it here on the channel when there's fights and all that, and yes, primarily whenever these things go viral, it is typically Carnival, and there are reasons for that. Carnival, their PR isn't the greatest. I do love Carnival, however, yes, whenever something happens, it does go absolutely viral like we're seeing in this particular case. But you gotta understand, the cruising market is absolutely exploding at the moment in popularity. There are people all over the world now that are starting to cruise. It was growing before the pandemic. We all know what happened during COVID. Cruise ships getting blamed for this and that. And now it is exploding and skyrocketing once again, which is technically a very good thing for the industry. But it is up to people that are vetted cruisers, experienced cruisers, to essentially show people how it's done. If there are fights on board and people are also indulging in the fights and approving of the fights and labeling one cruise line as the fight cruise, and then they're talking about another one, I do believe it just creates a bad environment. I truly do believe we are all a community, whether we are talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, because at the end of the day, we all just want to be able to go on vacation and enjoy our experiences. The reality of the situation is that people are going to people, and that is not the cruise line's fault. However, what is the cruise line's fault is this botched security protocol and de-escalation that we did see on Icon of the Seas, as it all did last about 30 minutes or so. well. However, before we dive into that, just a shameless plug and quick reminder to all of you, if you are getting value from this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, if you guys are looking to book a cruise without starting any fights, of course, you can book it myself. I'm a travel agent, or our travel agent sponsor, Lux Rally. Of course, we do have Black Friday deals going on. We got deals for Cyber Monday. And of course, if you're not aware, there is something called Travel Tuesday, where there are going to be 2025 deals of a lifetime that you do not want to resist. If you want to check us out, of course, we will be in the link in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comments. So here's the deal. I am good friends with a lot of the security guards on board cruise ships, especially because I work for cruise lines and I cruise as much as I do. So I see a lot of the same guys over and over and over again because I am almost never in my room. I'm very active and I get to talk to a lot of these security guards on what goes on. And I will admit, a lot of them are very knowledgeable, very well qualified in the event that something goes down, like, of course, an altercation or a fight. However, that being said, I do believe the cruise lines as a whole do kind of lack in terms of security. Not because of knowledge, not experience or qualifications, but of course the size. And this is not to be racist or anything like that, but when you have, let's say, the demographic, most of the crew members, including security guards, are from places like the Philippines, and they all are about my height. I am 5'6.5", and well, I know damn well there is no way that I'm going to be security at a nightclub, at a bar, any security, because honestly, if I ever got to the point to where I needed my own security, if I had my own business, I personally wouldn't even hire somebody of my stature, and it's for very obvious, blatant reasons. I've seen so many fights on board cruise ships, whether I am a guest, a passenger, or even back when I worked for Carnival, when I worked for Norwegian. Man, I've seen it all. And when you have, let's say, for example, two men that are fighting, and one is 6'2", the other is 6'5", and you got the security coming in, and they're 5'6.5", and really the only measure of defense they have is either the numbers, or they of course have their tactical training that they learned either with their security training or elsewhere. You have a lot of, once again, security guards are from the Philippines, some are from India, some were in the military over in their respective countries, and of course that is going to aid in the de-escalation of a situation. But let's be real, again, when you compare the sizes of people and the potential for a bigger situation to take place, there's only so much that can be done, like in this particular case on Icon of the Seas, where the de-escalation process lasted a full 30 minutes, which is 30 minutes too long in my opinion. To conclude this video, I will say this: you are going to have an influx of inexperienced people that, let's be honest, don't travel too often, and typically, especially as Americans, a lot of us don't get time off. If you have a normal job, cruising is the likely option. And when you bring your, let's say, unintentional ignorance and your at-home training onto the cruise ship, where you have people that are from different countries, they understand different cultures, different backgrounds, they have different intentions when they're on the cruise, it can potentially be a recipe for a disaster for people that are impulsive, have no self-control, or don't understand how they act when they maybe drink a little bit in excess. Anyway, that's what I got for today's video. I know we went over a lot, but of course, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you have not already, and of course, if you want to book a cruise, make sure you check out Lux Rally, link which will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comments. I appreciate all of you, I love all of you, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.